Financial Focus. Steve Budin is here. Steve, good to see you.
You too.
We talked about this earlier in the newscast, but President Obama met with Angela Merkel, the leader of Germany, and they're talking about what's going on between Russia and Ukraine. And Steve, a lot of people really listening today to their comments after they met, because there was a lot of tension going into this meeting.
That is true. And as I will say very often, a lot of it, there is a financial angle to all this ultimately. You have the armed conflict, which of course is unfortunate, but there's also the business and financial side of this. The Russians are really struggling here with low oil prices. You know, they need at least $90 a barrel of oil to balance their budget. With oil so cheap, they're struggling with sanctions and other international peace-worthy options. They don't want to have an armed conflict. So the fear is that the Russians will escalate this conflict to drive up oil prices because of the uncertainty. So how Merkel and Obama handle this, it all has a commonality here.
And historically, Western Europe has been a little bit lighter with Russia as far as compared to the United States, right? Because they have a lot more hinging with what happens in Russia and how they treat the rest of the continent, really how Russia deals with the rest of the European countries.
The Russians historically supply a lot of natural gas to Europe. So there is an underlying, again, it gets back to the finances, it gets back to the underlying concerns that Western Europe has. Will the Russians cut off or pull back on the gas supply? So again, it's all interrelated, which leads to a lot more volatility in the world, which is another thing. We don't have much domestic news this week to report, but you can see the interconnectedness of all of this stuff. The volatility simply means how much up and down prices will go. So I just read reports this morning, and a lot of credit-worthy experts are saying oil could be anywhere from $30 a barrel to $200 a barrel. Now, how does anybody plan or predict or try to prognosticate anything in the markets when the volatility is that great? What's going to happen in the international stock markets really does concern itself with Greece, with OPEC. They just came out today and said they're going to keep prices low as long as they have to, but it's all interconnected.
And our last point for Financial Focus today is the $8 million man, and this is a great story you want to share with all of us.
This is a phenomenal story, and it just shows there's hope for everybody. If you go online, you can check out this story. A gentleman out of Vermont just recently passed away, 92 years old. He was a janitor and a gas station attendant. Nobody had any idea that he had this type of wealth. He passed away recently and left an $8 million estate. A large amount of it went to the local library and the local hospital. The local library is where he'd go on occasion and read the Wall Street Journal. But here was a guy who literally had people pay for him at Starbucks or at McDonald's because they didn't think he could afford it. He dressed so poorly. People gave him safety pins to keep his sweaters together.
Wow.
Yet all the while stockpiled an $8 million fortune, and he never had a salary that was that high. Just goes to show there's hope for everybody.
And maybe stop shopping.
Well, I'll leave that to you.
Wow, lesson there, right?
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining us here for Financial Focus. We're not done yet with Midday. Obviously, it's only 11:19. We're going to be right back after this commercial break. Stay with us. Steve, good to see you.